I'm just going to take a very quick look at P. Diddy's chart. We're going to start off with his Sun and his Mercury together here. I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's just a very quick look. Sun and Mercury are in Scorpio. So with the Scorpio glyph, you've got the arrow at the end, which looks a little bit like a tail. I'm just going to leave it at that. Basically, Scorpio is emotional intensity. That intensity and that direction of force of that emotion is shown by the arrow there. This is what I think. I haven't read this. This is what I think. So you've got that with regards to his Sun, how he sees himself, who he thinks he is, and Mercury, how his mind works and how he expresses himself, I guess. You've got his Venus in Libra, which can be very relationship orientated, conjunct Jupiter. To put those two together, the larger planet being Jupiter, it almost makes his Libra Venus very Sagittarius. Sagittarius again has got an arrow on it which shows direction, but Sagittarius is like a fire, so it's going to be action orientated. So to put those two or those four planets together, linking those arrows to me shows force. Emotional force and directed energy. So this person's going to be intense with regards to how he gets his emotions met and how he gets his needs met in general, which we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to this Mars here. His Sun particularly and his Mercury are opposite Saturn. So this isn't just a flash in the pan force. This is somebody who can stick something out. Somebody who is possibly, even though it's a negative, it's quite a negative aspect with a red line there, it to me indicates that he can, once he's started something, which we started with gusto, he will finish it out. Now, those planets are in a T-square, which is a very tense focal point with the apex of that T-square. Can you see me scribbling on it here? In Mars. There. So again, you can notice the arrow again. Mars is how you get your desires met. And his Mars is in Capricorn. So there's a lot of energy behind getting his desires met, is what I would say about this chart. I think probably the most interesting thing about his chart, you've got all these arrows here, is that Pluto up here, what you get is this, your chart is like a snapshot the moment that you're born, but it gets kicked off by transits, which means that we get a chance to develop or to see how far we've come or how far we've gone backwards. Pluto is a bit like a dustbin. It's like everything that you want to shove underneath the carpet and hide. It brings it out for you and possibly everybody else to have a look at and feel like, oh yeah, well done. I can work really hard and this is where my mind is and this is how I act. Or it can really trip you up. When Pluto moves down here, which is basically the time he's been born, I guess he's in his 40s, I don't know, 50s. I think he might be about in his 50s. It's moved down here and is now, sorry my scribbling, Pluto is a slow moving planet which spends about 2 or 3 years when it sticks onto or conjuncts another planet. It's stuck on his Mars at the moment. It goes backwards and forwards. So I'll give you an example of what Pluto feels like on a sensitive point in your chart. Pluto was on Boris Becker's ascendant when he was pulled up for tax evasion. It's things that he'd hidden, thought he'd got away with, and it came back to bite. When Russell Brand went through that, I think it was about a year ago, he went through a lot of media coverage on some sexual abuse. I don't know, nothing happened with that, I don't think, with regards to women he'd been out with. And at the same time, his child had gone through some scans as well. His unborn child had gone through some scans, and he basically turned Christian through, I'm guessing, what it feels like to go through a Pluto transit, which feels like you're basically, hung up and dried, and you see yourself with all your faults, what you should do if you're aware of yourself. It does feel like an extremely dark night of the soul, I would guess. I don't know what that means, but his Pluto is pulling out everything that he has done with these points we've just discussed on the end of his T-square at the moment. That is because it's a point of a T-square. It's a focal point of who he is. It's what he needed to cover in this lifetime to feel like he was making progress. And this is the comeuppance. How much progress have you made? What can we see? What have you done? What have you done so far? So that is where he's at the moment. Another point that I thought was reasonably interesting was that his moon, I know that his his Mars is in Capricorn, but his moon is in Virgo. Virgo is a very puritanical type moon to have with all that intensity in the other parts of the chart, and especially the Mars. And his moon being his mother, and it's got nice aspects, to be honest. So I wonder whether his relationship with his mum is okay. But with his dad, I would definitely question it because the sun is part of that T-square. But Virgo tends to be the planet that I always say they can wear white jumpers, white shirts and not get soup on them. They're just the type of person that are very sort of clean cut. And I know that his white part is maybe something to do with, he won't know this, or he probably wouldn't agree with it, but I would possibly attribute that to the Virgo there. But that Virgo, as I said, puritanical was the word that came to mind, doesn't fit the rest of his chart. So I was going to use the word shame there, but I don't think it is shame. I would say there's two different parts of his personality. One that he feels is very clean cut, very sort of well-to-do, very respectful, very earthy, very clean, that has what I guess is a completely different side that is incredibly intense and will go to extremes to make sure he gets his needs met. As I said, I don't want to judge, I don't know. It's not for me to judge, it's for the judges to judge. But that's what I would say his chart is. It's two sides to it. There's a huge intensity to it. There's a real comeuppance at the moment that he's experiencing here. That's what I've got. I just thought I'd share it because I've got loads of charts I've been looking at this week and I found them really interesting. So I'm going to get this out just in case you're interested. I'm just going to say goodnight and bye.